We are now live. Every time we go live, I get so nervous. You know why do I get nervous? I'm like, Pace is watching. Pace is wonderful. He's a wonderful man. So we are live, everyone. I'm so happy, excited to be here. I'm back. I was gone for 2 weeks. I was just talking to the wonderful Kimberly about my trip with my gorgeous wife. My wife is unbelievable person. We went to Portugal and we went to Morocco and Marrakesh, Morocco. A lot of fun. But I'm so happy to be back. And we have a wonderful guest today in the form of Mr. Scott Mednick. Scott, how's it going, brother?
Having a wonderful day, man. How you doing?
I'm doing so good, Scott. I'm so glad you're able to
Good.
join us today, hear your
Thanks.
story, talk about your deal. And you will be, of course, curated by the one and only amazing Kimberly. Kimberly is an absolute blessing in my life personally. Kimberly, how are we doing?
I'm amazing. How are you? I mean, I know how you are. We were talking a little bit backstage. You have a little bit of sun on your face. You're looking
That's
very
right.
glowy.
Yeah, yeah. I got a little Moroccan gold going on here,
Yeah,
right?
you do. You brought some back for sure.
That's so cool. And for those who are going to be joining us today in the chat, if you want to know where Pace is, head over to whereispace.com. And if you want me to just tell you where he's at right now, Pace actually will be heading to Alaska, maybe today, but by tomorrow, Pace will be in Anchorage, Alaska. He's doing an Alaska meetup. Pace is all over America. Oh my God. And the meetup's going to be a lot of fun. The meetup begins at 6 p.m. It's going to be a 2 hour, I believe it's 2 hours. Yes, Pace is going to enjoy you and entertain you all for 2 hours from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in Alaska. For more details on where that exactly is, the address, head over to whereispace.com. But without any further ado, let's jump into this interview. Take care,
Very
guys.
cool. Well, as always, thank you so much to the Morby Media team for making this possible. They work so hard behind the scenes to get all the emails and the text out on a timely manner. So thanks, guys. I am Kimberly. I'm your Live at 5 creative host. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Scott. Two things on me. I have two sides that I call it. I am a real estate investor. I close, I consult, and I capital connect. And then my nursepreneur side, I'm a nurse of 22 years. I've been in healthcare for 32. I'm also an author. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm a podcast host. I do a lot of things with ministry, and I still teach CPR and everything in between. But today we're here to speak with this powerhouse. I had a little chance to do some due diligence, and this is a really cool story, guys. You guys are in for a treat today. So first and foremost, welcome, Scott. Thanks for spending time with us today. How you doing?
Oh, great, Kimberly. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And
Yeah.
after everything you've done, I'm just going to be in your shadow.
No, I looked up what you do and saw a little bit on the raw footage, and this is a really, really cool deal. So let's start there. So we'll get to the deal here shortly, but tell us what you were doing before you actually got into real estate before, or maybe you were already in real estate, but what were you doing before you got into this crazy creative community?
Well, I've been in real estate for over 25 years. So
Oh, wow. Okay. Long
yeah,
time.
I've been around. I started my career, started my career at CBRE as an apartment broker here in Southern California,
Okay.
and enjoyed that, but got tired of wearing suits all the time. And decided to go. My dad was a custom home builder, and he knew I was kind of bored. And he said, well, he was semi-retired. And so he said, well, do you want to start that? I go, sure. And did that for a while, built some custom homes here.
Very cool.
Broke the $1 million record on the Lake Mission Viejo here in Southern California. Back then, that was huge.
Yeah, a couple decades ago, huh?
Yeah. I mean, today they're 3 million, but I've done that. As real estate market shifts, I'm a general contractor and real estate broker.
Nice.
I kind of go with it. When the economy tanked here in Orange County, I started working for banks, fixing up repos.
Okay.
Did about 2,500 houses for like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, World Savings, Home Savings. I mean, a lot of the banks aren't here anymore. And had a lot of fun with that. And I joke, but it's kind of true. I got good after the 50th one. I go, okay, I get this. Paint, carpet, hot water heater strap, smoke alarms next. And
wow.
So, and the great thing was a lot of my competition. I mean, if you were sober, you got more jobs. luckily I don't drink, so I got a lot of jobs. And so that was a great time. And but the market shifts again. I started buying houses off the courthouse steps. I bought houses at somebody's kitchen table. I mean wherever it is, I'll try to do it. And at the same time, I kind of started going to this one RIA group here in Orange County, and went there and then started helping them run it. And then I took it over for 10 years. And
Wow.
so, I had speakers coming in on apartments, self-storage, flip this, flop that, everything on an 8-track tape, how to do this, at 2 a.m. with no money, no credit. So it was a lot of fun.
You said 8-track tape.
I'm dating myself a little bit, but
yeah, I was gonna say you don't look old whatsoever to be talking about 8 tracks. But we discussed this earlier, like about California and you guys showing well.
Yeah, like I say, I joke we all have plastic surgery and we all have our own TV shows, but.
So you start off, you did apartments, you did fix and flops, you did general contracting. What was your favorite out of all of those? Did you have like a favorite?
Yeah, fix and flip, and I'm kind of being pulled back into that right now again a little bit, but
Okay.
I love self-storage. I mean, that
Okay.
is my passion because you don't have to deal a lot with people, and people are there 2 or 3 times a year. The only time you hear is when you bump up the rent and they, and then they look around and they realize that they really can't move their stuff any cheaper. So, that's it. So, that's a big force in my life right now.
So the self-storage, is that nationwide? Are you focusing on California?
I wish I could focus in California. It's everywhere but the Northeast. I had teamed up with a gentleman and partnered with him for a long time. He was based in the Midwest. So I get everything from North Carolina down south, moving back this way. And obviously I'm not into the Montanas or Idahos because the demographics are a little bit different.
Oh, I'm
And
sure.
I've got California eyes. I have to have a lot of people around me. And self-storage, if there's a lot of people around you, there's always somebody that needs to store their stuff. So
Sure, right. So it comes down like the demographics and having to underwrite it if the need is actually there. Kind of like creative finance. If there's not a problem to solve, then it's really not going to work out. Awesome.
Exactly. But I'm looking at a lot of creative deals in self-storage right now because, as interest rates are high, and especially self-storage right now, the rates are 7-8%, and a lot of deals don't make sense. But if a seller is willing to carry back, at 2, 3, 4%, or obviously pace gets 0, I've still got to get that down. But they make a lot of sense. And also boat and RV storage. If anybody wants to get rich, there's a secret there.
Right. Yeah, that's all over. So I'm Midwest. So I'm from and in the state shaped like a mitten. And so we're by the RV capital pretty much of the country. Indiana is the next exit over. So that is huge too. And I've noticed too, people just buying land and just renting out like chunks of land as well. So that's like another strategy. I have a few parcels that I'm working on that are land contracts too. So if you are interested, just we can connect after because that's huge over here too. So just to throw that out. So you said you're kind of getting back into the fix and flips. What kind of pulled you back into that realm?
I've got some people that want some help in doing it, and it's kind of second nature for me.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's. I've done so many that it's kind of cut and paste.
Yeah, I'm sure it becomes like just a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I mean, I walk into a house and being that I rehab so many houses, and when I walk into a house, my ankles are hypersensitive because if the house is leaning, I feel it right away. And people
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'll look at the level of the windows, the doors, everything kind of catches my eyes. I walk around. And it's just automatic pilot. And so I'll see like if there's a problem, and then if part of the house sunk a little bit, why? I mean, is it drainage on the outside? Is it the foundation? I even bought my house. The daughter, she moved to Des Moines, and I got her the worst house in West Des Moines, but fixed it up for her. And for the kid that hated going to the tile stores growing up, guess who loved going to Home Depot and Menards picking out?
Yeah, it's different when it's your own and you're putting your own special touches on it, you know?
Yep. And she complained
Awesome.
about the contractor too, so that was kind of fun.
Well, you like do it all. You're a general contractor. Do you still, so you still keep your license then?
I still have it active. I don't
Okay.
do a lot of contract. Like if I'm flipping, I'm still going to hire a GC.
Okay.
I don't want to babysit somebody that's doing tile work and his wife left him, his dog, you know, peed on his tire and he can't come. I mean, I just don't want to do that.
Yeah, you're done with managing folks, it sounds like, hence the self-storage. And yeah, for
Exactly.
sure. I felt that. I felt that to my core. That was like your spidey sense with walking with the ankles. That was my internal. And nurses have that too. I'm the same way too, with like with smells and just instant. I've noticed that as well. So I thought I was like the only one. I was like, do you feel that? And the realtor's like, no. I'm like, really? Do you smell that? No. I'm like, what am
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I did a wholesale deal out in Jacksonville, and you know, the guy gets there, and the agent told me it smelled a little bit. So the guy gets there, and he goes, "God, it smells like cat pee. This is terrible." And he wanted to
Oh.
knock all this money off. And I
Mhm.
said, "Well, let me tell you about my experience. I've done probably about 50 of those." And I explained, and then he stops in the middle and goes, "Okay, I know what to do. It doesn't cost that much." And that was it. That was the end of the discussion. He was, you know, he was not trying to negotiate anymore
Mhm.
because, you know, he was testing me how much I knew, and I'm like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. So
So what do you do with cat pee then? Because that does stank.
it depends. Yeah, it does. There's a
Oh,
few things to
terrible.
do.
Mhm.
Obviously, if the carpet comes up, everything comes up.
Sure.
If it's a concrete slab, then you want to seal it with kills.
Okay. That
And there
makes
could be
sense.
some other better products out there for that.
Mhm.
And a lot of times you'll do like 2 or 3 or 4 coats just to really make sure it's out. And
Mhm.
after you finish the house, you still leave the flooring out just to make sure the smell is gone. Because
Mhm.
it's hard, obviously, if you put new flooring in, it still smells, and you got a little bit of problem.
Sure. Yeah.
I did a house here in Orange County that had wood floors. It's a lot harder that
It
way,
is.
but
Right.
it's the same idea. And sometimes you're gonna have to replace some of the wood and you just cut it out and put new wood in. So
Yeah, there was like a house that I went into. They were actually painting like on the walls too. And that was a whole different level. Like they had to actually like cut out the drywall. It just was like, ew. I heard that like mixing like some essential oils with the paint can actually help too, like with the ceiling. Is that like a wives' tale or no?
I've never heard that. I usually, you know, and a lot of times I just tell my contractor go fix it. And most guys know how to do it.
Hmm.
And but sometimes, you know, you have to coach them a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, the
But
part that you love so much, right?
you got to do what you got to do to make a living, right?
There you go. Right, for
So
sure. So
yeah.
let's talk about this deal. So tell me how you found it, who was involved. Give me the 411, the nitty gritty, the meat on the bones about this deal.
Sure. So it was a few years ago. Found it pay per click, and this lady calls and she says, you know, do you buy houses? And obviously, my pay per click was I buy houses for cash.
Mm-hmm.
I was using, I think, Carrot at the time, and so I said, you know, please describe it. Then let's see if we could do something here. So she tells me about the house, and then I said, gosh, it sounds really nice. What's the address? And you know, I looked it up on Google, and I looked at it and it looked really nice. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to buy this. So, you know, I figured I throw a Hail Mary and I said, has anybody else talked to you about this? Oh, yeah. And I said, what did they say? She said, well, they offered me half. And I said, I was trying to think what to say. And I go, why in the hell would you take that? And
Love
she
it.
goes, it's kind of a Chris Voss thing. You know, you throw it at him. And
Mm-hmm.
then she says, you're right. Why would I take that? And I said, look,
Instant
here's how,
trust.
yeah. And it was kind of, you know, that empathy thing that he uses. And so, you know, I said, look, here's how it's going to happen. I'll come out, take a quick look. We'll sit at the kitchen table for 10 minutes. If you don't like me, please throw me out. I don't care. I don't take it personal. You know, I buy houses if it works great. So I get there. They're both in their 70s. The story was they inherited the house from their uncle. He was in his 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I knock on the door. The outside looks nice. And he opens up the door and I see green shack carpet from 1972.
Nice.
And I was picturing a little maybe Marvin Gaye in the background, but
The song Love Shack going on. Love
exactly,
Shack.
exactly. And so I go, okay, cool. So the inside was original, which is 1972 all over.
Nice.
Walk the house. Well, I'm upstairs, and I've done this house a couple times, so I already know what the rehab is. I already know what the after repair value is, and I know what I have to pay for. So we go down the kitchen table. Oh, and as we're walking down, he goes, "Do you want to look in the garage?" And I'm thinking, not really, because it's going to be an old garage. And he goes, "Well, there's a car in there." And I said, "Okay, so what?" And then he said, "It's Corvette." And I'm thinking, because the guy was 90 who passed away, I'm thinking it's a 1960 something.
Yeah.
So I go, "What year is it?" He goes, 2008. And I go, "Yeah, so what?" And he says, "There's 6,000 miles on there on the car." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's go take a look." And, walk in the garage. Obviously, the garage has all the asbestos stuff all over the ceilings and all that. Again, didn't care. And looking at it, there's not a scratch on this car. Not a scratch. He literally had one of the neighbors drive him to the supermarket and back.
Wow.
And I guess the story was he had a 1970 something. He sold that and bought this car, but then he kind of got sick and he never really drove it.
Oh, okay.
So, I asked, "What are you going to do with the car?" And he said, "Well, he wanted to keep it, but he had some sickness. And so he can't get in and out. And they sit really low."
Yeah, they do.
And I said, "Would you be interested in selling?" He goes, "Maybe." And so we're at the kitchen table and we're going over the comps. And I said, "Look, I mean, the house is going to cost me about $95,000 or so to fix." And what's funny is the husband lit up because he looked at his wife. "See, I told you it was going to be that much." And I said, "I need to make a profit." And they agreed. And so we're going back and forth, and we're trying to buy the house and the car together. And then that wasn't working because they didn't like the numbers. And the car is worth $25,000. We both looked it up. That's what it was worth.
Okay.
So we're bouncing back and forth. And it was probably about maybe 2 hours in. And if you've ever been with a couple and they have that look to each other of they need to get out of there.
Yeah.
They want to end whatever it is. And I saw that and I'm going, "Oh crap, how do I, get this signed and make it work?"
Sure.
And so at that time we had put the car aside and we're talking about the house. And I was trying to get a certain price and I had another 10,000 or so that I could go. And I'm trying to figure what to do here. And I said, "How about this? How about if I give you your 10,000 that you want for this house?" And then they lit up. And I said, I stalled for a second. And I said, "And throw in the car." They looked at each other and it was like, hallelujah, let's get this guy signed and get him out of here because we're tired.
Nice. Good close.
Yeah. And, I didn't know where that was going to go, but it ended up working really well. And so, through escrow, and then he had a bunch of trash in there. And I said, "Don't worry about it. I got a dumpster." I made it easy on them. They wanted to do a yard sale and have the relatives come in and pick stuff.
Yeah.
So I said, "Just give me the date you want and I'll close it." So it closes. And the next day we go down to AAA and they signed the title over to me. And that was it. And I still have the car. I still get teased. I'm one of those guys that, lacking some manhood because I drive a red Corvette, but
like what they say about the big truck guys.
Exactly. Same thing. But,
in California, it's different because it's Corvette. It's not Midwest.
Exactly. But it's been a great car. And a few of this or that, but it's a little bit older, but it was fun and still have it. Actually, what's funny is my insurance on that car is cheaper than I've got a Hyundai Sonata. It's actually cheaper than the Hyundai. I mean, it's kind of weird. They don't know. I think I didn't put the miles on it, so on the insurance, so they don't know what it's worth. But
okay.
So it's probably, if it had the normal miles, it's probably worth maybe about 15. But now I think the price has gone up a little bit. I think it's like 30, 32, whatever. But it's just a fun car to drive.
That's awesome. What color is that?
It's red, but it's not a bright red. It's kind of a darker red. And that was kind of a funny story too, because I came home and told my wife, she goes, "A red Corvette? No way."
And then little red Corvette.
Exactly. And then when she saw it, because it was a dark red, she goes, "Okay, that's okay."
Nice. Wow. And you said it had low mile. I think And
6,000.
yeah, that's amazing. So they just want to get rid of everything and just like want it off their chest. And wow. So how long what did you do to the house? Like what did you fix on it? And was it like a full gut? Was it like a mini?
Oh, it's a full gut. I mean, the bathroom is a little funky. So we actually took out one of the closets in the master and expanded the bathroom.
Oh, cool.
But that house, we had a little bit of a problem selling it because there was not a lot of closet space in the master. So it was one of those, okay, we have a phenomenal bathroom, but not a lot of closet space, but we didn't have a choice. Otherwise the bathroom would have been terrible.
Yeah.
But we gutted the kitchen, all the bathrooms. Some of the windows were not replaced. Did a little bit of yard work, new HVAC. The roof was great. The outside of the house is beautiful. It was just the inside that was 1972. So.
And what city was this in?
It's Mission Viejo, California.
Okay. And then what was the purchase price when you underwrote it to the ARV? What was your
it was, I believe, 572 when I bought it, and I sold it, I think, for 825.
Nice. Wow. And then you had, how much did you put in it, did you say?
It was about 90.
Okay.
So I
you
don't
were
have
under budget because you said 95. Nice.
It could have been 95. I mean, it's been a little while. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot of times, I get close and then, it goes over 5, under 5, in these houses. I'm not one of those guys that have an Excel spreadsheet of every nail and every door.
Wow.
I go for approximates and then move forward. So.
Yeah, because you have it like that because you've been doing it for like over 2 decades. So for you can probably just walk in and be like, like boom, 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 boom. Well, we're going to have to start asking for photos too. I'm like you. I love the before and after to see what you can do with it. But fix and flips can be tricky. You can make a lot of money. You can lose a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing. And with crews and cost and the market shifting and changing and all that, there's so many variables to fix and flips. I'm more of a slap lipstick on a pig kind of cosmetic girl. I mean, I like the full guts and I've done them before, but yeah, there's lots that can go down for sure.
Well, there's always things that go wrong. And what's funny is now I'm helping the Sub 2 chapter here in Orange County, one of the leaders. And one of the reasons why I joined Sub 2, because the guy who was talking at the time, he admitted he had lost money on a couple of deals. I'm like, most people don't talk about that. But for me, I don't trust anyone who has not lost money on a deal, because if stuff hits the fan, they freeze. And if you've already gone through that, you respond, you deal, and you move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Just like today when I found out my second traditionally financed house and now it's on a land contract, it has like a cloud on the title because someone has interest in the land portion. I'm like, oh, okay, just yet another problem to fix. And and that's so true. And that's the thing about partnerships too. And I love that we're talking about this too, about like losing money and partnerships, because you don't know, they can be the nicest people in the world and have the best intentions, but you don't know or how they're going to respond until there's capital involved and there's lots of stress. And a lot of people can't, as I say, pivot with purpose and just take that pressure and be able to run with it, because a lot of people have so many emotional attachments packed into real estate too. And it's hard if you haven't experienced that. So I love that. And that's one of the first things that I ask people, tell me about a time a deal just circled the drain and was up and down roller coaster. And how did you respond to that?
Yeah, no, it's hard because I partner with a lot of people, and then I tell them up front, things can happen. And because sometimes no matter how good you think you are, the market says, nah, it's not worth this, it's worth that.
Exactly. Very, very true. Yeah. I mean, you can underwrite something like I had a Sub 2 wrap in Louisiana and New Orleans. And when I underwrote it, there's 4 exits and the market was stable. And then the property was mismanaged. So the other partner had to quit claim deed the title over to me. So I had full ownership, and then the market tanked, and then the AC went out, and then it just money's flying out everywhere, and my exits are down to 1 now. And so I did a bond for deed. So it's just you can't control it. The only portion that you can control is how you respond. And if you have somebody that's newer, bless your heart for working with all the newbies too, and like talking them down, it's tough. It's like, it's kind of like that patient that you get from the operating room. They look really stable on paper, and then all of a sudden they start circling, and you're like, oh, shoot, that's a problem.
Yeah, actually, I have a whole presentation I've done locally here in Orange County on what to do when the stuff hits the fan. And, case in point, about a house off the courthouse steps in San Diego. At that, buying houses off the courthouse steps, sometimes, you're working the title work, sometimes you're out in the field. This time I was out in the field, drove by it, beautiful house, nobody was home. We bought it, knocked on the door, nobody there. My partner calls and she says, hey, I'm going to be out by next Friday. Oh, great. Okay, we don't know cash for keys. This is going to be great. Get there on Friday. The front door is boarded up.
Oh, boy.
Everything inside the house was gone.
Yeah.
The kitchen, the bathrooms, the lights, the plugs, everything is gone. And, I'm so trying to think what to do. So I call the cops. But, detectives, it takes like 3 hours because it's not a high priority, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
And so I start knocking on neighbors' doors and I go, did you see what happened? And one neighbor, no. The other neighbor, oh, yeah, I got videotape of those guys doing all that stuff.
Oh, wow. Well, thank God for the nosy Karen or Kevin, the neighborhood watch guard.
Exactly. And it was so classic because he hated the woman who lived there, and the dad was the contractor.
Oh, okay.
And so it was hilarious because he only left 3 things in the house. His business cards.
Really? Oh, wow. That's interesting.
I know. And so the detectives call him and he's saying, I didn't do it. And they're saying, hey, we have videotape of you doing it. And so they're going back and forth. And I said, let me talk to him for a minute. I said, hey, I see you're in real estate. You're a general contractor. So am I. And I see your license number, blah, 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 blah. I said, tomorrow I'm going to be calling the contractor's license board because we have you on video and you're going to lose your license, in the next 30 to 60 days. Is it worth it for you to keep all this?
Right.
And then it's like, how fast can I bring everything back?
Oh, well, hey, that was a good strategy. And did he indeed bring everything back too?
He did. The detectives wanted him to put everything back in, but I knew he'd do a lousy job.
Yeah. Right.
So I just had everything come back and then I had my guys put everything back in. But, if you're new and that happens to you on your first deal, I mean, you'll never do real estate again. I mean, you're working at McDonald's or In-N-Out Burger. But, for me, it's a Tuesday. Okay, we have this problem. So
right.
It's like you have your problems. Your problems are on a Thursday. Mine are on a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Like, what problems are you going to solve today? And I think that's what sometimes people don't get about real estate is it's never usually easy. It never is. And then if you combine like you're being over leveraged because you have a W-2 or you have kids and that all stuff is equated in how you can move about and to stabilize the property. And those are things I think sometimes that other people don't think about, and it's always going to fall back on the person that does it full time that knows how to take that and then spin it. very, very true for sure.
Yeah.
And you guys have some really cool, everyone. I've been interviewing a lot of people from Cali. You guys have a cool crew over there. And like your meetups look insane. And JJ's out there. And there's so many like cool, heavy hitting people out there. I'm going to try to come in the fall. I have my anthology story is being released. Ebook is 9/24 and then paperback is October. I might come out there for a book signing. So if I do, we'll definitely have to meet up. And do you guys have the monthly meetings or is it usually like?
Yeah, there's Orange County. We meet once a month.
Okay.
Typically it's the first Tuesday.
First Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah. Los Angeles, they've got a meeting. And San Diego, they've got theirs. There's one in Riverside, San Bernardino that Keegley's doing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And no, there's meetups all the time. I mean, so the networking is crazy here. I mean, it is.
I've noticed that for sure.
And one of the things that I've introduced that I used to have my RIA group to Orange County OCJV is I do a needs and wants. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are kind of shy. And then when it comes to networking, they leave. And I said, so at the beginning of the meeting, I say, okay, what do you need or want today?
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to stand up if you want to, if you choose to. If you've never stood up in front of an audience before, this is your time.
Cool.
Nobody's going to laugh at you but me, but I'm not going to laugh at you because I'm up here and you're going to laugh at me. And just, and it was cool. The last meeting we had, I had these couple ladies come up and they said, thank you so much, because I've never stood up and asked for something like this before. And I felt so good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so it helps us kind of break the ice.
Yeah.
But also too, when everybody starts networking, at these things, a lot of times you get stuck in this, one crew and you can't get out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what I say is, if somebody asks a question or you ask a question and somebody has an answer, as soon as the meeting's over, beeline over to those people first, get that answered, and then go network.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because, you could be two ships in the night and you miss each other, where you
Yeah.
both could make money. So,
right. Yeah. And that's so true, because I've been to like Golden Ticket and like a Squat Up, and there's people that I haven't met in person like 3 times because it just gets so busy and chaotic. I think the speed dating, or not like speed dating, but like the speed dating concept for real estate, I think that's kind of cool to do that like really quick and then leave some time thereafter to go into deep dive, at least that way. Because sometimes you get stuck in these conversations, and me, I'm a nurse by trade and I'm a nurturer, so I tend to get like stuck. It's like I need like to have like an assistant where I do like a code word, kind of like the queen, and like shift my purse to like my other hand, so someone comes and gets me, because I'll just stay there. But I was thinking about that concept. Someone else brought it up and said they do their meetings like that. They do like a quick intro and they have everyone go around and then they stop and then you break out into your own. I thought that was kind of a neat concept, especially for the bigger groups. Do you guys typically have a really big turnout too, being Cali?
Yeah. I mean, the LA one, some of them you'll get like 200 or 300 people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, and actually I should say Ventura, also I was at their meetup with Juliet a couple weeks ago.
Okay, Juliet Saralou.
Yes.
I love her last name. It just rolls off your mouth. Juliet Saralou, and her voice is so pretty.
It is. No, it's super nice. Tiny little thing too. It's cute. But at Orange County, ours, we get between 40 and 60 people. San Diego is a little bit less. I think people in San Diego are just too cool for school. But
isn't it all of California?
No, not all of us, but the Riverside, the Keighley guys, I mean, they have Sub 2, Astro, TC, everybody come in. So
okay,
they're getting, and also it depends on the speakers too. If people are interested, they'll go. So.
Very cool. So you, unlike me, that is like 3 hours over to the like networking. Yeah, it's tough because I'm in a small beachy town. So Chicago's actually closer. I went to the Chicago meetup and that was pretty cool. But yeah, everything for me is a haul because I'm, I'm like right here, right by Lake Michigan. So the things that you take for granted, like, and this is what I like about this, are having these podcasts, is because you get to know people. Like, how long have you been in Sub 2? I've never met you before. So how long have
I've been in for 9 months. So I haven't been super high profile. I put in I'm looking for self-storage.
Yeah.
So you may see some of those. I think I'm one of 6 people that are in self-storage in Sub 2. But other than that, I mean, I pop up more locally, I think. And I know Pace says, make yourself known. So, which I totally agree.
It's hard when you're busy, though, when you're busy solving problems and doing deals and closing and putting out fires. It's hard to get that networking in sometime, because I know I've been a little bit more on the quiet side, and it's exhausting to like constantly like put out stuff and post and content. Like that's a full-time job in it of itself, but I mean, it's so true. If people don't know what you're doing, because that's something that I've also been interested in, self-storage too, but I don't know anything about it. So are you looking for existing self-storage, or would you like do developments as well?
The only thing I develop right now is boat and RV storage. Developing self-storage right now, the construction loans are 8 or 9%, and you're going to build it to an 8 or 9 cap. So you're trading dollars.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. But I'm kind of a fix-it guy, so I look for the value add thing.
Sure.
And value add could mean the rents are low. What's fun about self-storage, it's kind of what buying houses was about 30 years ago. Actually, I take that back. 15 years ago, is 74% of all self-storage is owned by mom and pops.
Yeah.
And
I've heard that before.
Yeah. And, you know, the REITs own about 18%, and then the other top 100 operators own the rest. So you're not dealing with big conglomerates. I mean, you're dealing with somebody that has a house that you could buy at sub 2, or they have a $40,000 self-storage deal that they built 10, 15 years ago. And their kids don't want it because the kids during the summer have worked it. They hate it.
Yeah.
And everybody, you know, wants the money. So it's the same market, and it's the same people, and it's the same, you know, discussion. And that's why I love it.
Yeah. So question for you for self-storage. What if you had to like evict somebody out of a storage unit? How does that work? Are there laws that are dedicated just to that?
Do you mean if somebody moves into one?
Like if they're not paying their bill and you have to like evict them out of the storage unit, like how does that work?
There's been actually storage wars. There's been TV shows on that.
Oh, okay. I don't watch TV.
Okay.
Clearly it shows.
That's fine. Actually, see, it's business and it's not personal. So you actually auction off the property.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of the day, I think the average auction's about $300 to $400. You don't get a lot of great stuff. And it's not like I can go in there and keep it. I can't. I have to auction it off.
Gotcha.
And typical people are there 4 or 5 months without paying. So we'll lose about $100 to $200 ballpark on each time. But, you know, and that happens sometimes. Sometimes people die. Sometimes, you know, the stuff that's in there is just not worth it.
Right.
So, you know, and they stop paying, and it is what it is. But again, it's business. You're not putting somebody on the street. It's just their stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So
is there like a waiting period where they have to be defaulted like X amount of months too? Okay. So I was just wondering, because some of the tenant laws in certain states, as you know, are better in some and then not so great in others. I was wondering if that had any correlation.
No, because it's, you know, consumer to business, it's different. You know, believe me, I'm in California. I mean, our tenant laws here are kind of crazy.
Yeah, kind of.
You know, but it's business, and that's why. And I think, is it Colorado? That I think if you sell an apartment building in Colorado, that you have to give the government first right of refusal or something. I'm thinking,
really?
I read it somewhere. I don't know if it's law or they're talking about it. I have no idea. But I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, it's, you know, open marketplace, you know, is what I believe in. So it's just different. But again, and actually the happiest people, if you have boat and RV storage, I have not owned one, but I have a lot of friends that have. And a friend of mine said they are the happiest people because because when they come and pick up their RV, they're excited, they're going on vacation.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
And when they come back, they're exhausted and they're happy to go home.
Yeah, this is very true. And I thought about that too, because there's so many boat slips that are around here because I'm by Lake Michigan. I was like, ooh, I could do like a roll up and do like a boat slip and then do like storage too, like a one-stop shop. So we might have to talk after this.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Yeah. And, you know, also just to educate everybody, when you do design one to build, the only way for people to exit is making left-hand turns. Because most people only drive these 2 or 3 times a year. They can't turn right. They can only turn left. So when they back it out, you know, and then they go left to get out. And because most of them have gray hair and they're in their 70s, and that's just the way it is. But
yeah, I have an RV, and so I'm very familiar. Mine's a motorhome. It's a Class C, so it's all in one, but still I've seen some crazy things out there for sure. And then especially like when they're loading them too with the weight volume and they're flying all over the place. It's like, oh, it's scary. But yeah, that's very clever. I like that. That's very, very cool. And you're doing some cool stuff, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've been around for a while, so you know, I've done a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And you know, some people in their career spend their whole lives just as an apartment investor, or just fix and flip, or just probably like sub 2 or whatever. And for me, it's the wind's blowing this way. Okay, that kind of looks cool. I was on a call earlier today out in a networking group, and the guy said, wants to connect me to some people that have some apartments that are value add. And do you do apartments? I'm like, not really, but you know what? I'll take a look.
Mm-hmm.
And because who am I to say no? Because if I can make whatever,
Yeah.
$6 and, buy a cup of coffee, I'll be good. And,
you sound a lot like me. You're very like project based. You kind of just like fly wherever, like whatever like comes into your lap. And that's what I've noticed too about my real estate venture is usually people come to me to solve a problem, because I think as a nurse, that's what I've always done is I've solved problems for other people. And they usually have like a capital issue, or they need a consult on something, or they just can't close. And that's where I come in. I'm like, oh, now I'm doing this, or now I'm doing that. It's fun because it's not something where you need systems and operations. And I don't like all that stuff. Like it's just too much for me.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do what you like to do and what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like for me, cold calling, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've done it in my career, and it's not fun for me. But get me on the phone with somebody trying to figure out, a problem they have.
Yeah.
Then I'm having fun.
That's where you thrive. Yeah.
Yep.
So what are your plans next? So you have like the RV storage, you're very like project, whatever. Is there anything in particular besides the RV and the boat that you would be interested in like dabbling your feet into? Or is that pretty much what the gist is for now?
Well, I'm pretty strong in self-storage. Like I said, I mean, I'll look at apartments, or I'm not a retail guy. I mean, like a shopping center, but I have looked at buying shopping centers like with a dark Walmart or Kmart, convert that to storage, and then kind of tweak.
I like it. Yeah, there's so many commercial buildings too that are just like out and available, especially the Midwest. It's huge. Very smart.
Yeah, and then do a conversion. I mean, it's like a Lego set on the inside, so it's for storage.
True.
And if the ceilings are over 19 feet, you can get 2 stories in there. You put a mezzanine floor on there, and and I've got a buddy of mine who does specialize in retail. I mean, he is so good. He'll look at any retail center and he'll be like, okay, we need a coffee shop here, Chase Bank there, Wells Fargo here. I mean, he just sees it where it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I'll bring him in because he's the smart guy on that. But
awesome. Yeah, I love that. I never really thought about that too. I'm very visionary, and I never thought about taking that big commercial space and you could just like literally like build it out and get the doors in and stuff. I thought about that with medical office buildings too, with having my medical background, to have like a med spa and like podiatry and then geriatrics and cardiology and like cold and ice plunges and all the kind of things in one space. So it's a one-stop shop.
But there's a lot of creative things you can do, and you just have to make sure that the demographics work. I mean, that's the key.
That part, I like a good underwrite where I check. The first thing I check to see if there's a Costco there, because Costco spends so much money with market analysis to make sure that their stores are successful, because they put so much money into the community, into the build, everything. And so that's the first thing. Is there a Costco? Because it's an easy way. And then you see if there's like any other competitors like Sam's. You're like, okay, there's a Costco, there's a Sam's, there's a hospital, there's a university. We're good. Someone can afford it.
Yeah, my old partner, and I know other people have said this too. He says he likes to be able to see Walmart and smell McDonald's, and then he's good. But sorry.
That's a good one. I like it. Yeah, for sure. Well, because you have different assets class, and you can't, like I consult on RELs because there was a bill that was introduced. So in my own state, Bill 4841, that they still haven't voted on, which changes the way that RELs are going to operate. So I kind of put a pause on that and was looking toward like another state, and really people put these things and they're great. You can have the best everything, the amenities, it can look good, it can be all the things, but if it's not parked in an area, like you said, like self-storage, if you're out in the middle of Nebraska or Iowa, like it's not going to be successful. So you have to park them where they're going to be successful for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, I have California eyes, so like I know people will buy stuff. I mean, Boise is actually one of the most overbuilt markets in the United States.
I've heard that recently. Yeah, they like boomed the last like 5-7 years.
It's crazy, but self-storage, I mean, the average person needs 8 square feet.
Isn't that crazy
storage.
how like hoardy we are? Like it's insane how much storage we actually need.
And there's a actually a George Carlin bit that he talks about people buy houses to store their stuff, and they buy bigger houses to store more stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing justice to his bit, but it is really funny. But it's true. I mean, you just get too much stuff, and
It is.
I've had arguments of people saying, well, if the economy tanks, nobody's going to pay. And it's like, not really, because if you lose your house and it's 3,000 square feet, you move into an apartment that's 900 square feet, you keep your stuff because you probably put on your credit cards, but you BK'd, but you want to keep your stuff.
Yeah.
And some people will stop paying because they hit, whatever. But, but then if somebody does, it gets sold, and then somebody else just lost their house. So that's that end of the market. And then when the market comes back, the economy is booming. Well, you're adding on to your house. So you got to put your stuff in storage, and you've got your Christmas stuff, your Halloween stuff. You got your red Corvette. You don't want anything crashing on it during an earthquake. So,
right.
So it's kind of a cool gig. I really like it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. And so tell me this, how has the creative community like kind of changed your life since joining like about 8 months ago? And what would you say to somebody that's on the fence of joining, that's watched the videos, seen these podcasts? What kind of advice would you give to them?
And I'm going to tell you what I told the last person I was on a podcast, and they kind of had a shocked look at their face for a second. So keep a straight face. I've always hated the big gurus. Because being a RIA group owner, I would see these people coming in and smell, they would sell everything. Joining this group, it is completely opposite. I mean, it's just such a phenomenal community. It's people, everybody wants to help each other. It's amazing, and the education is second to none. You can buy, books and tapes on, how to flip this, flop that, apartments, whatever. Everything is here. And so you don't have to really buy anything else. But it's the people, I think, and everybody wants to help you. So it's incredible. And I've never, ever, and I've seen so many gurus come and go, and I can give you, well, I'm not going to do it publicly here, a bunch that, they sell this or that, and you're in it for a year, and then they kick you to the curb. I'm talking $50,000, $100,000 programs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And for this, it's just, it's a lifetime membership. And hopefully I can put it in my will to my kids, but it's really nice that if you have a problem, there's somebody in this group that's already dealt with it 10 times, and they'll walk you through it. So that's why I really enjoy it, because it's just, and I was not a believer until I started going to some of the Sub2 meetup groups. And then I saw the way they were, and I go, that's kind of cool. Okay, I'll take a shot. And then I've been very, very happy here. So
agreed about the mentorships, because I joined one, and again, I'm not gonna publicly say the name, but they, at the end, the sales pitch was so cringy and so thick that I like literally stayed in my hotel room. And then when I declined their $30,000 program, I was told that I was going to be up to my neck and drowning within 3 months.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's so positive. Awesome. And I had to say that was the only thing that I regret like investing in, because I started just investing in myself when I left bedside nursing. And I have that written on my whiteboard. So I look at it every day, and every day I laugh at it too, because I'm like, I'm still here. But yeah.
And actually, that's one of the reasons why, I started helping that gentleman with the RIA group about 15 years ago, because I got to go to everything for free. Because we bring 10, 15 people, they would buy the books and tapes and all that stuff. Sure. And they'd have a 3-day boot camp. And, you just look around at the people, it is crazy. And I went to this one, I won't say what it is because people will figure it out. But they were having the program, and they had this $100,000 program, how to buy X. And the people in front are the ones who paid that money, and they're so important, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just curious. I mean, I've never paid that kind of money because I don't need that. I talked to this one lady, she was sitting up front, and I said, so how's it going? She goes, well, I only paid $50,000 for 6 months. And her 6 months was coming. And I said, so what are you going to do? She goes, I don't know. And I don't know what to do. And I said, I think you better talk to somebody before you leave. Because $50,000 is a lot of money. And, and you're promised to get a property and all this, that, and the other. And, it's just, I don't know. All that stuff kind of turns me off. And that's why this group is so different. I mean, there's no, promised land. It's just, get down and learn what you want to learn, and not everybody's going to do sub two. Some people are going to fix and flip, some people commercial, whatever you're going to do. Find a couple other people that want to do it with you if you choose to, and move forward. And that's why I think this group's, insane. And I kind of know personally, I don't think there's any other group like this at all in the United States.
Agreed. Yeah. The variety out there is just because you have people like you that are OGs and been doing it for decades. You have people like me that have been in it for 2 years and do a little bit. Like, you will find somebody doing something cool. Like, oftentimes, and I say this all the time on the podcast, I'll hop on a call and I'll start talking to someone while I end up coaching them because they're overweight or they need help with their mindset or something. Like, I lost and kept off over 100 pounds and then became an Ironman finisher, and have Derek talked into, he's doing his first half Ironman. Right. And so that's what's really cool, is because it's not always about real estate. You usually connect on some kind of level. You can find some kind of quality that you can connect with and get value from. And I think that's what makes this group so incredibly special.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it is crazy. I mean, they say most of the people are nice, and of course you're gonna get some people that are grouchy or whatever, and whatever. but it's just it is what it is, and and it's like I said, it's whatever you want to learn is in. We have a vault, and I want to learn XYZ. Oh, it's there.
Yeah,
and,
agreed. Very, very true.
And you're not alone, because I think, like, when I first started flipping, I mean, I came from a general contractor background, so the construction part was easy for me. It's just trying to figure out how to buy deals.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I got that, and I put the two pieces together. But for somebody who's new, I mean, and actually I was on a call today with a guy that he's never flipped. He's like, well, I don't know how to, actually he lives in your neck of the woods. I don't know how to flip. I can't, figure out construction costs. And I said, well, I've taught people how to do it. Let me tell you how you're going to do it. You're going to hire a GC for the day. You're going to go buy 4 houses. You're going to have them bid it, and have them walk you through what everything costs, and the roof, the AC, the flooring. If the foundation was a little screwy, give me some ballparks. I said, you do that, then you have that information. That's done. Next, go figure out the comps. Learn how to comp. There's phenomenal stuff on YouTube how to comp. Or hire real. Well, some agents don't know how to do it, but
most agents don't know how to do it, especially when you're in my neck of the woods too. And you have like a multi-million-dollar house, and then you have like a $50,000 cottage. It's really tricky. Some places where I'm at in Michigan, for sure.
Yeah, and it's hard because I did a lot of remote flipping in Chicago, and I literally, with the source that was sending me deals, I would have 10 minutes to say yes or no, because otherwise somebody else would say yes.
Yeah, right.
Well, I would zoom in, on Google Maps. Okay, I like the street. The cars look nice. It's, not in the bad part of town. We're good there. Run the numbers. Okay, the rehab's probably going to be about this. And I cherry picked the ones I liked that I think would, had a good enough margin. And, I was right 100% of the time. Now, if you're new, if an agent says, oh, it's this, and you don't know the construction costs, you can really, lose your shorts.
Yeah. Agreed, for sure. And that's why it's so important to connect and network and ask the questions and hook up with people like yourself that have been in the business and know their exit strategies and can pivot and do all the things. So thank you for helping out our community, because I know time you can't get back. I mean, you just can't. You can't create it, nor can you get it back. So when somebody gives you your time, that's a gift. It really is, because you are sacrificing your time to do something else to help somebody else. So
it's true. And it's fun. Like I said, I've mentored people, how to buy, fix and flip and all that. And then actually I've walked a lot of people through self-storage, and actually did my presentation on self-storage 101 for the local groups here.
Cool.
And but just trying to educate, because most people have lived in an apartment or a house, so they get that. But self-storage, it's a business and real estate, so it's a little bit different.
It's a whole different beast, for sure. Yeah. Underwriting's different. Everything is completely, for sure.
But it's, if you don't like dealing with a lot of people, it's a thing to be in. It's cool.
Yeah, and then you get burned out sometimes with the whole tenants, termites, and trash, and just having things like, continually go wrong, and people being late, and AC units like, here's $7,000, and it gets a lot, and you don't have those problems with self-storage or RV and boat storage.
Right.
And for the most part, nothing is just straightforward, and you're always going to have the problems. It's just a different set of problems.
Yeah, I mean, really, your biggest problem with self-storage is other self-storage. Because if there's a REIT that, if their occupancy drops a little bit, they're going to drop the rates to grab the people. I mean, that's because everybody, how do you find self-storage? You're on your phone, self-storage near me. Okay, that one's cheaper.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's your competitor.
Yeah.
It's not the people, it's the competition.
Right. Yeah. Good tips. Good tips. So, Scott, how can people connect with you? What's the best method of connecting with you? Facebook, email, your phone number, your IG?
Sure. My IG is right below me. It's my name, Scott Mednick Deals. That's a great way. And, texting's great. A lot of times I'm on the phone, but texting, hey, would like to talk to you about self-storage or fix and flip, whatever. 949-632-2600. And
awesome.
Or on Facebook, I'm there too, but on the step 2 thing, but I answer to all of it. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for dropping all these nuggets and sharing all your experiences. It's been a fun hour to chit chat with you. And if anybody out there that's watching has a deal that they've closed and they want to be on here talking all things creative real estate, please feel free to email Taya at tay@pacemorby.com. And here it is right down there too for anybody looking for that. It's Taya@pacemorby.com. And I would love to hop on a call with you there, after this is done at some point and talk about self-storage, because it's something that I've been wanting to get into myself. So it was great timing.
Yeah. And what's really cool is you can buy a small self-storage, like 5,000 square feet. I mean, that'd be small entry level. Or you could buy 50,000 square feet, which is institutional size.
Okay.
And just 50,000 is equal to 100 unit apartment building. So that's apples to apples.
Oh, I like that analogy. Very cool.
Right.
Okay.
And when you're in self-storage, you talk square feet. You don't say number of units. I always know when somebody tells me how many units, I go, okay, because like a 5, if they have all 5x5s, which it doesn't make any sense, you could have a lot of them. And so square footage is, the way we look at things. So
very cool. And then especially too, like you said, with the commercial, I love that. Like, that's got to be a whole different underwriting beast though, as far as to get things like squared away. Would you just then contract like a general contractor for that to like build out the cubicles, or is that something that can get tricky as far as like supporting and all the things that you would need?
I mean, like to build extra, like if there's extra land.
Yeah. Well, no, like to build like within it.
Yeah.
Build it out.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways. One is, I mean, if you have an existing and you want to add square footage, you can actually add portables that are actually not attached to the land, so you don't have to pay more tax.
Okay.
That's a way. But then some banks don't look at it as, they don't count all the income. So sometimes you have to nail them down to the pavement, and then when the bank leaves, I won't say. Anyway. But there are companies that specialize in self-storage and even remodeling. They'll paint the doors with new roofs, whatever you need. And the thing is, it's metal walls, a roof, and metal doors. And so it's really simple construction. It's if you've had a Lego set in your life, you can figure it out.
It's almost like shipping containers. Just like put a whole bunch of shipping containers in commercial.
You can do that. I mean, some people do. But I mean, there are commercial, like say, ones that they drop on your yard, and it looks like it's built in, but it's not, and so you can move them if you wanted to. So
very cool. Now my brain is like going down rabbit holes. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Well, always trying to help.
This has been awesome, guys. This has been amazing. Scott, how you feeling? Good interview?
I'm feeling good. I hopefully I did okay. Hopefully you learned a thing or two.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I always tell our guests that I'm taking notes, Scott, and you were very thorough, brother. Yeah, I'm like, okay. I must myself look into some storage units. This is interesting.
Yeah, and I want to
Yeah.
actually start maybe a small little group in sub two. I tried to do it. I got dinged by the Facebook police, but I think I'll try it again because I think there's enough people that could be interested, and we all can learn together.
Agreed. Yeah, for
Beautiful.
sure. I think that would be
Yeah.
amazing.
I love it.
So,
Awesome. Awesome. So for those who are watching, just a reminder, okay? I know I sometimes want to know where Pace is, and I know of course you do. So Pace, head over to where'space.com to find out where Pace will be. And as we know, Pace will tomorrow be in Alaska, and he will be spending time in Anchorage, Alaska, having an Alaskan meetup, and it'll be a lot of fun. A lot of good advice given, and it's really more important just to go. Yeah, Pace will be there, but the people that are in this community, as was talked about in this interview, is where the magic is. Okay, I mean, getting to know people and speaking to people. You walk into one of our meetups, and everybody in the room wants to help you get a deal. Like, true story. Everyone wants you to get a deal, and it's a true blessing. So if you're in Alaska, head over to whereispace.com and get the exact specific address to where he will be, and have a good time. Scott, I hope he treated you well. Kimberly's fabulous as always.
Yeah.
Thank you
no,
so
you made
much.
it too easy, Kimberly. Too easy.
Well, I'm glad because I had a migraine the whole time. I started off a little rough. I'm like, come on, this is like the easy part. Get it together, girl. Get
Let's
it together.
go. Let's go. No, that was wonderful. Scott, you had ice water in your veins. It was so smooth, man. Yeah,
Good.
very good.
Thank you
so
Thank
much.
you.
And I'll just repeat this to those who are watching. If you want to be on the show and be interviewed by our wonderful and lovely Kimberly, please, we want to hear about your deals. Head over, or not should say head over, but go to email us at taya@pacemurby.com. That's TAY. Let me bring it up again. That's TAYA at pacemurby.com. Let her know that you want to jump on here, and we'll treat you well. I promise. I promise we will. Thank you so much, guys. It's been fabulous. You guys have a good one.
Peace.
Adios.